Hi, bookish people. Welcome to another episode of the Meet Your Author podcast, where we celebrate African authors and have bookish conversations. I'm your host, Rachel Chiza. On this episode, I come bearing my January wrap up. I have experienced sensational reads, and I'm extremely happy about the books that, I've been reading this month. The very first book that I read was Tomorrow Died Yesterday by Chimeka Garrix. Now, I'm a stan fan of Chimeka Garrix. Like Auntie Jennifer Nansuka Makombi, he can do no wrong, no writing wrong in my sight. So, Tomorrow Died Yesterday is a book that I highly recommend. A stunning tale of four friends who grew up together, but, their lives take a different turn and joins again. And, they, as you grow up, their lives interconnect again. And it's at varying points, but he, gives insight into what's happening in the Niger Delta and what that looks like on the people, but also on the friendship of these four men. I love how he writes the men, especially Kanye. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, it's really brilliant. I loved the writing. And I think this being his first novel, I've experienced the growth since I also read his short story collection, Broken People's Playlist. His growth is really, really commendable. And so I recommend that you read both books, the novel and his short story collection. Second book, Everything Good Will Come by Sefi Atta. Now, Auntie Sefi really did a thing on this one. I love it. And I highly, highly recommend it as well. It's a coming-of-age novel, really enchanting. And I loved that I could observe the growth of the main character, Anitan, and just see her growth and changes that she goes through alongside her friend Sherry, her father and mother, and also her husband. The book made me realize that even when we are raised as, outspoken, empowered people, that the patriarchy will still bend you to its will in many ways. Yeah, it's a great read. I highly, highly recommend it. Then 3, The Triangle by Nachisanze Segawa. This is a Ugandan writer, and I'm so glad, like I said in the last episode, that this year I'm very intentional about reading Ugandan writers. So I'm glad that I'm already on that path. Nachisanze's book is around Ganda culture, specifically the Kabakamwanga era that was filled with religious wars and wrangles. And if you like Chintu by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi, then you'll enjoy The Triangle. For me, it was such an insightful read, but also underwhelming in some areas. And I share my full review on my Bookstagram. So just follow at Rachel K and you'll be able to read everything. But yeah, it was really underwhelming. There are bits of our history during that time that I hope that, would be deeply explored, but they are not. I'm glad that, she wrote the book, and I think you should read it. Then Zura Maids by Eunice Apio Otuko, another Ugandan writer. So this novel promised to be a crime thriller, but it fell short in so many ways, and I was so sad because it had a great premise. It has a great premise, and it's set in northern Uganda against the backdrop of the LRA war, which wreaked havoc in northern Uganda since 1987. And its effects are still felt today. So I really feel like she missed out an opportunity on doing a lot more with the book. Yeah, I was just sad. Then Light Seekers by Femi Kayode, brilliant crime thriller. This did the thing for me. There's an investigative psychologist who is invited to a small town somewhere, and he's supposed to find the reason why the people killed their people the way they did. The twists and turns are so good. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I like that Femi's writing is not, if I should say it's not showing off. It simply is. And it was great, just reading and things unraveling, the plots and twists unraveling from it was so exciting. I loved reading it. I read it in one day. Like, I didn't leave the house because I just wanted to know what's happening or what's going to happen. Who was behind the killings? Oh my God. I feel like this should get a movie deal. It will do really well as a movie. Then the other book that I enjoyed, The Secret Lives of Babasegi's Wives by Lola Shoneini. Now, this book has been talked about by almost everyone. It's humorous, it's witty, it's funny. It was my second time reading it, and I still enjoyed it. I think Lola used humor to tell such an evocative story. I still think about Babasegi and all his wives and laugh out loud at the audacity of the things that were happening in this book. There's a lot to unpack in it, and I highly recommend it. And lastly, Changes by Ama Ata Aido. My God, I'm so glad that I ended my January on this note. I read it as winding up my Jan reads, and I love just growing into the knowledge, self-identity of the female characters. I loved that for them, that they were questioning things at a time when things were not supposed to be questioned, because you're conditioned to want and be a certain way, but you start questioning things. I really, really loved it. I love the wholesome facets that she brings to the book. And I really hope that everyone gets to read Changes by the brilliant Ama Ata Aido. Yeah, so that's what I read in January. If you want to experience all my thoughts on it, just go to my Bookstagram at Rachel K, and you'll see all my thoughts there. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining me today on the podcast. Follow Meet Your Author on X or Twitter, and also follow me on X and Instagram at RachelK29. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share, and invite other people to enjoy a bookish ride.